Thanks for making a date. My name is Daryl Kwao. We've got the details right after this. We begin from the banking sector tonight, and workers of the defunct Uti and Capital banks could get their severance package paid to them. The firm appointed to handle the transaction, PricewaterhouseCoopers, is currently in discussions with unions of the defunct banks on possible payment of their entitlements. There were reports staff who had even worked for more than 10 years would not be taking anything home because of current legal arrangement covering the takeovers. Now, country partner at the PricewaterhouseCoopers, Vish Ashiabo, tells Joy Business the decision to pay the workers can only be finalized after the negotiations.
Obviously, we work with the records of the company. So we look at the records internally, we look at the financial statements, and of course, we also invite claims, etc., from third parties. And if there's any indication that there's an asset somewhere belonging to either of these banks, it's our job to go and recover the assets. What I can say is that for now, we believe that we have a pretty good view of the population. There may be one or two out there that we still need to follow up on. But fundamentally, yes, we have a pretty good view of the asset base of these banks.
Help me out with some education, and the staff of these two banks are also, you can call them an asset or liability or whatever, but for a lot of them, they are worried about their fate if they are being asked to go home. Could they really get a severance, or they might not get the severance based on the law that guides this whole arrangement that you're having right now?
Well, that's something we're looking at right now. We're currently in discussion with the unions representing the staff of the affected banks. So I'd rather not go into detail on that currently. Safe to say that the dialogue has started. And we hope to conclude that very soon so that everybody is clear on the position.
Are they hopeful of getting something on? Because per the legal arrangement, I know that they won't come on the first top creditors and they might be down there. And it's likely that if all the assets are defrayed, they might end up not getting anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, George, the law is the law. We, in this process, we don't have...
What does the law say?
Much discretion. What does the law say in respect of...
dealing with these particular issues in terms of liquidating the assets and paying off the creditors?
Well, the law has a very specific procedure as to, in broad terms, as I said before, the receiver's job is to realize assets, pay liabilities. Okay. You must use what efforts you can to get as much value as you can for the assets, so the receiver must. In terms of paying liabilities, the Act is quite clear, the order of ranking. We don't have any discretion around that, so we just have to follow that procedure.
Well, there are reports that about 100 workers of the two banks have been sent home by GCB, and we are also getting indication that many more could also be heading home. Away from that, the amount of money that the country earned from... We'll bring you that story later, but on Friday, the country would mark Farmers' Day under the theme Planting for Food and Jobs. The Planting for Food and Jobs is a major campaign by government to boost the agricultural sector, which is declining in terms of its contribution to the country's GDP. However, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISER, is raising concerns about the implementation of the policy. This report captures the concerns of the institute.
The Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, one of government's flagship policies for the agricultural sector, is aimed at increasing agric production and creating jobs for the youth. However, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research is concerned there is no clear plan for implementing and evaluating the impact of the policy. For now, the campaign has been hinged on registering farmers, providing improved seeds and supplying fertilizers. ISA says these handouts do not represent the sustainable medium to long-term approach to transforming the agric sector. The institute adds that policies announced in the 2018 budget do not tackle the challenge of low private sector investment in agriculture. It says private investments are constrained by the lack of affordable finance and policy direction in the presence of weather risks and vulnerabilities. ISA adds government's drive to boost investments in the sector should bring back the debate on the role of agricultural development, banks and financial institutions. Agriculture's contribution to GDP in 2017 dropped by 0.4 percentage points from the record 18.9% recorded in 2016.
We'll take you back to the banking sector because there's been a banking conference today where Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has justified the decision by the Bank of Ghana to reduce the policy rate by some 100 basis points to 20%. According to the Vice President, the move is justified looking at the current developments in the economy. For some time now, inflation, treasury bill rate and government's expenditure patterns have dropped significantly. He was speaking in a keynote address at the just-ended National Banking Conference in Accra. Ebenezer Sabute was there for Joy Business and files the following report.
Bank of Ghana should have maintained the monetary policy rate because a further cut may have a negative impact on fresh investments in the capital markets. Addressing the 21st National Banking Conference in Accra, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia noted it is a great move to help in government's low inflation targeting agenda.
One of the issues that, has bedeviled the banking industry for many, many years has always been the issue of high interest rates. And the big question that we grappled with at the central bank for the longest time as we pursued our inflation targeting framework is how do we bring down interest rates? It's a big question and one that, banks have struggled with, governments have struggled with. We've always realized that high interest rates basically make it difficult for banking customers to actually repay their loans. So you end up in that environment either lending to government or lending at the very short end because you cannot take the risk lending at the longer end.
The conference is part of the 2017 Bankers Week celebration organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana under the theme Building a Robust and Sustainable Banking System in the Country. Reverend Patricia Sapo is the president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana.
We still have a lot to contribute in the area of building a robust and resilient banking sector to ensure the maximization of shareholders' value, protection of depositors' funds, and generating profits. It is important that we all act quickly as stakeholders to resolve the outstanding policy pieces, whilst at the same time reflecting on the coherence of the overall framework for ensuring financial soundness and stability in the industry. The second critical issue, ladies and gentlemen, that I would like to mention today has to do with the roles played by the directors of banks and management in ensuring sound banking policies in the banking sector.
The celebration is expected to end with the annual Bankers' Dinner on Saturday.
Meanwhile, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has also hinted that the next phase of government's digitalization program is going to focus on developing the mortgage market. According to him, this will be done through proper land title registration system to be introduced next year.
The paperless port clearance system that has been introduced, again, helps all of us and that. But one of the big things that we are going to be doing next year, we are shifting our focus to land and land registration. This is a real bane of the banking industry and the financial services industry. How do you develop a mortgage market if you cannot really ascertain title to land? How does that market develop? You will not develop the mortgage market. In fact, when you look at the data, and I was a bit amazed when I looked at the data, you see that in terms of mortgage to income ratio, right? Mortgage to income ratio, Ghana is the highest in the world, right? Mortgage payments relative to income. We top the world, right? One of the lowest is the United States of America. But, you know, we are at the top. And it doesn't make sense for the poorest countries to be in the top side of that bracket. Mortgage to income. But of course, it's telling you that a lot of the mortgages are being paid by people who are probably earning incomes from outside and maybe a very secluded few. But you can't develop a mortgage market with those types of ratios. It will not. But we have to turn our focus to the land registry and the process of land title. I think this is the next phase of digitalization that is about to happen, and we are tackling that next year.
Now, rural banks and microfinance companies may be given some grace period if they are not able to meet the new capital levels by the proposed deadline. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, who disclosed this to journalists, said the regulator is committed to supporting the growth of the sector rather than take actions that would affect its development. There is more in this next report.
Rural banks are expected to meet the new capital level of 1 million cedis by the end of December. However, most of them have maintained that it will be difficult to meet this new requirement by that time. Joy Business is learning that about 40 out of the 141 rural and community banks have so far met the requirement. The Association of Rural Banks are calling for an extension to help them meet this new level. Well, it looks like their prayers have been heard by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. For microfinance companies, the situation could be a little different. They are expected to increase their current capital level from 1 million cedis to 2 million cedis by June 2018.
We would work with the rural banks to strengthen the levels of capitalization. It's important. It's important to the extent that we are allowing them to take on depositors' funds. We have to ensure that these banks are strong enough to do that. And this is the assurance that I gave them, that we will be flexible and work with them to build up the levels of capitalization. Now, I know that microfinance institutions will also be facing a similar challenge. Sometime, I think the deadline is in June 2018, and we would urge them to try to raise their levels of capitals.
Joy Business is learning that even though the regulator would be flexible with the microfinance companies, there's the possibility some of them could have their licenses reduced to a lower level if they are not able to meet the new requirement.
Government is being urged to do more to force cost of borrowing to go down to levels below 20%. Renowned economist Professor Stephen Adair says a reasonable drop would bring relief to businesses to enhance sustainable growth. He spoke to Love Business on the sidelines of a business seminar by Christian Group MMV of the ICGC Trinity Temple in Kumasi.
High interest rates remain a major challenge, especially to startups. Renowned economist Professor Stephen Adair is positive a reasonable drop below 20% would bring relief to businesses for sustainable growth. Professor Adair spoke to Love Business on the sidelines of a business seminar in Kumasi.
Fortunately, the business climate is quite harsh. I mean, when you have to be paying, some young people told me just this week that they wanted some business, they went to the bank and they said they have to pay 40% per annum. I mean, that's crazy. Any business which has to start by paying anything above 20% is going to have difficulty. Apart from those who have quick turnover, you just go and buy it within 1 week, you sell it and turn over. But if you are manufacturing, penetrating markets, I think that there's no doubt at all that the macroeconomic factors like inflation and interest rate must come down markedly, not a matter of 3%, 2%. We are ranging so high that we are talking about within a short period halving it.
The business seminar was put together by Christian Group, MMV, of ICGC Trinity Temple in Kumasi. The maiden edition provides a platform for business owners to support each other as well as the church. Jones Abuaje Champong is president.
We sort of have this business conference to connect all the businessmen in the ministry. And then what we'll do is that we form a network. And what we want to do is that we'll come out with a website where we can be connected globally. And then we'll be communicating and linking ourselves to other businesses and see how Christians can, one, start their own business, how to make money, how to manage it, and how to multiply it. This is going to put Christian businessmen together. And the key thing is that then we can be supporting other areas. Even in the church, if your business is growing, then you can, one, help in employment for the youth, support the needy in the church, so that it will be easier for those who have little, to multiply and then give to others so that they will also enjoy their service to God.
Meanwhile, one of the speakers, Richmond Frimpong, who is managing director of Beige Pension Trust Fund, is urging business owners and entrepreneurs to explore long-term accumulated interest on investment to build their portfolio.
The rate of interest on holding your own money is 0. The rate of interest on putting your money in a savings account is just about 5% averagely. But the rate of interest on any short-term investment would be a little over 18 to 20%. It means you beat inflation, you beat anything that would have ordinarily not given you any return.
Prince Apia reporting.
In other news tonight, MTN Ghana has denied any move to increase mobile charges for customers anytime soon. It follows recent reports that the mobile operator was planning to increase its charges to pass on to consumers the high cost of operations incurred as a result of the challenging economic environment. But according to the telecom network, it is rather focusing on improving its network quality to the benefit of customers.
MTN in this light organized a dinner event dubbed Yellow Soiree to appreciate local customers who have been on the network since its inception. Speaking with Joy Business Customer Relations Executive at MTN Ghana, Jemima Kote Walsh said the initiative is an affirmation of the company's commitment to customer service.
It's purely to thank them, and that's what it is. There's nothing behind this. It's about the customers, about celebrating them and thanking them, and that's all there is to it, really.
What's the need for MTN customers moving into 2018?
Into 2018, we can assure our customers that customer experience will continue to be a key focus area for the business, and we'll do whatever it takes to improve the experience at all levels, be it the network quality, the service delivery, the products and services that we churn. We'll make sure that they remain relevant and meet the customers' requirements and needs.
So how about loyal customers? What's their experience about the company's services? Here's Archibald Frimpong.
I have been on MTN for the past 10 years now, and the experience has been really rich. Let me share an experience with you. There was this time I had an issue with MTN. There was this network interruption, and it took the whole CEO who just picks his phone to call me to apologize, and I really felt welcomed onto the network. I've tried other networks before. I wouldn't mention names. Sometimes you call their customer care, and the way they even speak with you, it makes you feel as if they are doing you a favor, forgetting that a SIM card is just one CD away. So that has been my experience with MTN, and I think it's been good so far. I don't intend changing anytime soon. Okay, apart from this customer service that you said, what of network quality as compared to other networks? But I don't think they are really something that would make me change my mind on the network. I think there are positives are more than the negatives. So for me, once you value me as a customer, I would be on you forever and ever.
MTN Ghana sees the opportunity to reward some customers with mobile phones and assorted electronic communication gadgets by way of a raffle.
Turning to the aviation sector, and about 5 new airlines are undergoing various stages of processing to commence operations in the country. Following the suspension of activity by one domestic airline, Starbow, there have been concerns about the ability of only domestic airline, Africa World Airline, to deal with increasing volumes of passengers. Speaking to Joy Business, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alote, said the new entrants will contribute immensely to expanding the domestic aviation industry by 2019.
The government, through its first budget, removed the 17.5% VAT on domestic airfares to help make domestic travel affordable. This policy intervention, according to the Aviation Ministry, has led to a steady increase in domestic travel of about 24% between the year 2016 and 2017. However, the crash involving the Starbow airline at the Kotoka International Airport over the past weekend has raised concerns about the ability of the only domestic airline, Africa World Air, to handle the passenger overflow. However, according to the regulator, the discomfort will be short-lived as 5 new entrants are lacing their boots to participate in the domestic air business. Simon Alote is the Director General of the GCAA.
Definitely, as a more Jan's airline has received their air carrier license, they will soon start the certification process. It's a 5-phase process. Then we have Montran Air. They also have an ACL. There's Gold Star going through certification. We have Smile Air going through certification. And there is DAC Airlines, which has just received their air operator certification. So things will get better, definitely. There'll be more competition in the coming months, or by the end of 2019, we should see a few more operators doing both local, regional, and intercontinental flights.
The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority adds the quest to establish a national carrier is underway. Mr. Alote explains operations of the new national carrier will be different from the previous national airline, Ghana Airways.
No, the concept is different. A new airline will be established. The Ghanaian investors, including existing airlines, will be invited. Anybody who wants to participate could put in a bid. And already there is a lot of interest from both local operators and international operators. So the concept is to get the carrier established with government having some shares, but no controlling interest. The strategic investor or investors who actually operate the airline. Government will be represented, of course, at the board level to pursue its interests. So it's not necessarily empowering a Ghanaian, an already existent Ghanaian registered carrier to, operate on some of the.
We are moving on now to our interview of the day, and President of the Ghana Bankers Association, Al-Hassan Andani, has been assuring the business community that commercial banks will start reducing their lending rates from the first quarter of next year. It follows the Bank of Ghana's decision yesterday to reduce the policy rate by 100 basis points to 20%, citing the favorable economic outlook and easing of threats to inflation. This is the first time since September 2014 that the rate has hit the 20% mark. Now, in an interview with Joy Business, Al-Hassan Andani said the banks are ready to apply the downward rule.
The requirement to meet the new capital requirement is from January 18 to December 18. And yes, we are aware that all this has been communicated to shareholders. Various discussions are ongoing, and we would I'm sure the right announcements and market activity will be demonstrated in 2018 to indicate how prepared or what the end result would be. probably some mergers, some banks, shareholders introducing additional capital to meet the minimum capital requirement. So there'll be a whole lot of scenarios that will play out within the year that we are required to meet the new minimum capital.
What about the policy rate cut? When are we going to see banks following the Bank of Ghana's rule?
No, yeah, the policy rate cut is very welcome. There's been a lot of agitation, for us to review interest rates, and I'm sure you'd see already there have been 450 basis points cut in the policy rate. This is just another 100 basis points cut. I'm sure before the first quarter, before the end of the year, most banks would have gone through their ALCO or asset liability management committee meetings and to review their prices. So I expect us to see new lending rates announced and published in January.
Finally, how is the ESLA bond doing in the market so far?
ESLA is doing extremely well in the secondary market. There's a lot of liquidity. So even most of the banks and most who took bonds have been able to actually sell the bonds on and release liquidity. So it's been really remarkable in terms of uptake in the secondary market.
And that's it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.